Alright, hello all, my name is Max. We're going to go ahead and design our very first ship the whole way through, start to finish, which is always fun. Now remember back in our events, if you've been following along, we created some infrastructure on Earth. And if you come to our economic screen and you click on Earth here, you can see the current infrastructure is at 100, even though we don't need any infrastructure. As you can see, the required per million population is 0, and there's no maximum on infrastructure, and that's because our planetary suitability is at 0. Infrastructure is not required here. However, on the moon, to have any sort of population here that's sustainable, you will need infrastructure there to support them. And with 100 infrastructure on Earth, we should move that 100 to the moon, and that will support 500,000 people, or 0.5 million population on the moon. So let's build a cargo ship. Alright, to do that, this is not the way to do it, but we'll work with me. I'm going to show you the reasoning through this. We're going to go up here to class design, and that's the one. That's this guy right here, the model spaceship on a pedestal. And here we are in class design, and it's all very blank. Just come down here, click new. So we have a tribal class cruiser, and this just gives you some information. Don't worry about that. Look up here, we got class, it's a tribal. Alright. What type is it? It's a ship. That's opposed to Planetary Defense Center, which a cargo ship is not. It says it's a cruiser down here and here. We're going to change that whole to a cargo ship right here. That has no bearing on it. It's just for organization, but trust me, you're going to want to change your hulls to something that makes sense. Alright, build points as it stands, it only costs 36 minerals, but we're going to add on to it. Over here, don't worry about this. It's a cargo ship, this is not needed. It's not a tanker. It's not a collier, which is an ammo ship. We can use conscripts here, but let's not worry about that. It's not an obsolete design. We're going to be building it, so it's quite current. It's not a maintenance supply ship, and if it was, you would click that. Size in tons. Let's click that for now, but later on we're going to turn it off. But one hull space is equal to 50 tons in Aurora, and the hull space is the most manageable way to think about things, but we'll keep it in tons just to start somewhere, and then keep the excess quarters. That's for deployment, but we'll keep it unchecked like that. Everything else here, this is for military purposes. Crew accommodations. This whole page here is for just an overview of the ship itself, the class of ship. Deployment time is one thing that you can change here. That means how many months it can be out without the crew going crazy. You type in 12, and you can see when you put in 12, it went from 190 to 200 tons. Basically, if you want, let's go back here. It gives them it adds the quarters to the ship. You think of it as giving it the ship, 9 more months of reading materials, or stuff to do, so they don't go nuts. It's like the what's on Star Trek on Next Generation, the holodeck, in a way. Think of it like that. Come over here to design view. This is where we design the ship itself. Let's see, it's a cargo ship, right? So we'll scroll down to cargo holds. We have small and standard. If we take a look at the rating, a cargo hold that's small can only hold 5,000 is it minerals? I don't remember exactly what that translates to, but you're going to want to have for these ships just one standard cargo hold. Cargo handling systems are very important. If you take a look down here, it takes 10 days, 10 hours to load this cargo ship to the brim, which is unacceptable, 10 days. So if we add cargo handling systems, just adding one of them cuts that down to 2 days. It's different. I don't remember. Okay, now it's 1 day. I thought it went from 5 to 2. I'm just remembering wrong. 3 makes it 16 hours. 4, 5 is 10 hours flat. So let's just keep it like that. And you can see it's getting big. We're going at 26,000 tons, 65 crew on board to manage the ship. This is build points, how many minerals it costs overall. Cross-sectional, how big it looks on a on basically a radar, how much thermal energy and how much electronic emissions it's producing. This is for sensor purposes only. This is its speed. If you really think about 1 kilometer per second is pretty fast, but when we're dealing with space out here, and even just the moon itself, that distance here is just so incredibly vast. Even at 100 kilometers, that's only that. And sure, it can cover that in 100 seconds, but going beyond the moon, I mean, that 100,000 kilometers, I'm sorry, that's 1,000. So it takes quite a long time. 1 kilometer per second is just completely unacceptable, so we need to add engines, as the ship doesn't have engines. And if you take a look, it doesn't have engines on here, so what we need to do is design engines. So come down here to design tech. Another way to get to that button is this button right here. Not that button, where is it? This guy right here with the triangle on there. But the best way is just right here. And you can look at the different research projects, and we look for engines, which is right here. And here's an engine, it's already filled in. However, this is a military engine, we need to make it a commercial engine. So how do you do that? The game says right here, engines have to be 25 size. So let's take a look at the size. It's 5 HS, which is 250 tons, and we'll bump it up to 25. Alright, but still a military engine. While there's a second qualifier, it has to have a power of 50%. So we'll change the engine power down to 50%, and now it's a commercial engine, which is suitable for what we need. So we'll hit create, and we'll come back here, and you'll note that it's still not out there, and that's because we actually have to research it. So this is a good start. We can close it. There's no need to save it. It's already saved. And we come to this research button up here, and if you look at power and propulsion, since that's an engine, it's going to be right here. Well, this guy's already researching fuel consumption, but we want that commercial ion drive finished, so we're going to cancel what he's doing. Power and propulsion, this guy right here. Commercial ion drive, we hit create, hit yes, and I'm going to add those research to him. And he's going to be finished on the 29th of August. Close that out. We'll go back to the travel. What else might it need? Well, it's going to need fuel storage at some point, but we'll hold off on that. And it's going to need basically repair parts if something were to happen. But once we get the engine and that's going to be the only thing we have left. So we'll hold off on designing the rest of this until what was that? When was it? This is why you have the production overview screen. It was research 29th. So in 0.38 years, we'll come up here. We'll hit 30. 29th August coming up. 66, 88. All right, now it's done. Close out. You can see what's happened in the meantime. That's too bad. Okay, so the research is completed here. Oops, wrong button. Go back to the tribal and go to the design view. Now we have engines. Double click on that, and now we're going, a lot faster than just one, but we can go faster. So go ahead and give it a few more. 4, 5. Alright, that's pretty fair. You'll notice though, if you keep adding, notice this fuel capacity. If you keep adding engines, your range keeps going down, although marginally so for each additional engine. And your speed obviously goes up, but after a while it just doesn't do anything. It just doesn't serve you other than making the ship more expensive. The marginal cost is just too much. So I'm going to switch this to 10, double click here, 1, 2. That gets rid of 10 and switch back to 1. I'm going to give it good 5 ion drives, and we're going to give it some more fuel. Give it a large. And so 15.3 billion kilometers on the range here is pretty good. That'll take care of the, for our purposes, pretty much whatever we need. I mean, right now we just need to get them to Luna, which requires almost no fuel capacity, but we also want to keep in mind, future projects. So we'll keep it like it is. So we have our tribal. That's all done. For maintenance purposes, you really don't need spare parts. However, you got your max repair here. All it has are 9 maintenance parts, and the most expensive thing to repair is 37.5. That's probably what, the engines? I flip over here and realize I have no idea what I'm looking at, but deal with it. Crew percent total. Okay, I'm not sure what that is, but it's probably the engines. If we take them all out, yeah. So it's the engines. It's the most expensive thing. You can add, if you wish, more maintenance storage bays, but it's probably you don't want those, because now it makes it a military vessel, and it's just, you don't need it for a commercial vessel. So you're probably fine. You can add engineering spaces, which, if you get that 40 over the max repair, you can at least repair one engine if something were to go wrong. We'll keep it like it is, and we are done here. So we'll close out. Now we have to build the ship. We come up here to colony summary. That's the economic screen, and we come over to manage shipyards. Choose one of the shipyards, and we want to retool for selected class. Ship class, well, it's blank, but we just created it, right? Well, unfortunately, this particular shipyard capacity per slipway is 24,000. Yours might be a little bit different. Every game generates differently. These guys, if you remember correctly, our tribal is 33,000 tons, and the maximum that they can go is 24. The only shipyard that can build it is shipyard number 3, also known as Astano Shipyard, Todd Houston Shipyard. So we'll set this activity, and it's instantaneous the first time, and that's true for any shipyard. The very first one is free. But if you're to change it afterwards, it does cost resources and time. So keep that in mind and be very selective about it. I'm going to give these guys a little extra capacity. It takes time to do that. I'm going to add about 10,000 capacity per slipway, and that'll be finished on the in August of 2027. Naval shipyards are a little bit different. They're more expensive to build. So this one's going to be done, if I were to add 10,000 tons, in 38, which is just a bit too much. So what's 2,000? That's fine. I'm not going to do anything with it right now, so that's good. Up here with the big one, I'm just going to add an extra slipway. That way I can build more, whatever the assigned class is, I can build more slipways at once, or build more of those ships at once. And now to build the ship itself, our first tribal ship. Come down here, and you can tell it which task group you want it to end up in. We'll tell it to go into the cargo task group, and we're going to add the task. And so now we've started building it. We only need one for a number of reasons. And then shipyard tasks, it'll tell you, how things are coming along. So I'll hit 30 days here, and you can see we're 10% done, and we're coming along just fine. Inactive labs, power and propulsion. No, this guy. Alright, and we'll get things started here. 30 days. Just wait until that thing comes out. There's a few interesting things that happened. Exceptional new officer production and the units being trained, but we'll skip that for now. Alright, ship construction. The ship just rolled out, and you'll see on the screen over here we have this cargo task group. You can right click on it, hit fleets, and go to cargo task group, or alternatively you can go to the Star Destroyer up here and hit fleet orders, and then manually go to the cargo task group. The alternative is right click fleets, cargo task group, and you're there. So now then we just built our first ship. I think we'll cut it off right here, and I'll start giving orders on the next 18 minutes. Yep, we're done.